Hey everybody, it's Douglas here from Razor. I am so glad we've got such a wonderful turnout for today. We're going to be doing some really exciting stuff. So first, just by way of introduction, I wanted to share my screen, and this is the tool that we're going to be playing with. It's called Make.com. It's a really powerful tool. It's like Zapier, but a little more visually exciting, so I really like it. What's really cool about Make.com is that these tools have been around for a long time, just automating things like someone subscribes over here, they get added over here, an email gets sent. That sort of thing's been around for a long time. These tools like Zapier and Make now are especially powerful because now you can implement AI into the workflow. And that is amazing for it's amplified the power of these tools hugely. And so we use it at Razor. This is my agency, and this is our fun little Agent Otto. He's our content marketing agent. But he can do all sorts of things. So, like, cross-platform social media posting and video posting, Canva bulk export, even image analysis to look at images and either create posts based on the content of the images, or even just rename images based on the content of the image. Automated video avatars like with HeyGen, which is super fun. I've been actually animating myself with my voice to read news articles, which has been really hilarious. Fully automated newsletters. If you're on this call, you'll get our daily newsletter, which you can change the frequency at the bottom anytime, but that's 100% automated. I'm working with Blair to try to fix some formatting issues. Apparently the text is really small on iPhones. Looks great on Android. I had no idea. So it's always like massaging these things. Blog posting, which is what we're going to get into today. So we have a very advanced system that we use, and today I'm going to be showing you the basics. And then lastly, we do, a lot was obviously social media, graphics. And if you're interested in any of that, this page on our website, Otto, I'll send everyone the link afterwards. It's got some really cool little videos you can watch. But regardless, what we love to do is help clients streamline processes. We help them map them out. And then this tool, Make, is what we build most of them in. Sometimes we have to work in Zapier because that's the client's environment, but Make basically looks like this is a simple version of sort of how these modules get strung together. But this is a really fun place to start because you can come in here and look at actual apps your business might use, really popular apps like HubSpot, these other tools are all here. All your task managers like Trello, all their things are here. And you can start to explore what's possible. Here are the triggers and the actions that can perform. And then it shows you what apps you can connect with any app you choose. And then it even sometimes gives you templates to start with, which is really cool. So I often just start, especially if I haven't used a product before, playing in here. And the cool thing is, if you're a little more technical, even if it doesn't have a built-in product, you can still connect it with what they call an API. It's a little more advanced. We're not going to get into that today. But so that's a little bit of an introduction. Why don't we just start with the basics? Here's your ChatGPT, right? So, you could say in ChatGPT, write a blog post about, Chihuahuas, right? I can't believe I spelled that right. Okay, and so here you go. It's going to it's going to do its best, and it's going to sound probably a lot like AI. It's going to have just a structure that it defines and a tone that it defines. And ultimately, that is kind of the default blog writer of ChatGPT, right? It's not going to win any awards. It's really not very customized. Now, obviously, what you could do here is have your own tone of voice. And there's even ways now that you can, in some of these, like you can start to train it if you have the paid version on your tone. Claude's now having writing styles. That's all great, but you might want even more control than what these tools give you. Okay, and so what we're going to do is recreate this but in a much more customized way using Make.com. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'll just go from here because I've already got the window open. When you log in, and it's free to get started, it's free for a couple of automations, and it's really not expensive if you do end up paying. And you're probably never going to go over your operations or data like anytime soon. We run a whole agency and we rarely do go over. And so then you have all your sorts of scenarios just to show you kind of what the dashboard looks like when you log in. The main thing you're going to work on is scenarios, and sometimes you'll have to come into connections to reconnect something if it disconnects. Because basically what Make does is it connects to all your platforms. And we got these giant amount of lists, everything from WordPress to YouTube, Google Drive, MailerLite, our newsletter, Canva, all these things. So these are our connections. I'm not going to worry about that today. What we're going to talk about is the scenarios. And then I've got this one already I started to build, okay? And so when you go in there and start a new scenario, what it's going to look like for you would be something like this, and it's just going to give you a starting place. And then you just click on that to get started. I've already built this, so we have a starting place. We're going to start by, I'm going to show you this simple version and what's actually happening here. And then I'm going to show you a little bit way more to make it a little bit more powerful. So before we start, does anybody have any immediate questions that I haven't been clear on so far? Doing good? Okay.
Just quick question, Dougie.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the use case we're doing? Is it
Oh,
blog posts for
yes.
social
It's
media?
today we're going to do a highly customized blog post that's trained on your tone, that is structured in the way that you want it. And a little bonus is that we're going to produce some social media content from the blog post, and we're going to deliver it as and that's sort of what you can see here. We're going to deliver it as a Google Doc. And then in this, we're going to do a little bit more advanced, and I'll show you why that's cool to do the second version. But when you start, you'll have one module. And so what I like to do is when you click on that, you can literally just say, you can type in what you want. And I'm going to show you something that most people don't do, but I think it's a really great place to start because it makes testing really easily. And that's the setting of multiple variables. Ultimately, we're going to trigger this with a form, a JOT form that we're going to create, but we're going to actually create that last. Why do we do that? Well, it's because doing it this way, actually making these variables up front, it allows us to test it really quick. Whereas if we have a JOT form, which I'll show you in a second, every time we want to run a test because we want to make a tweak as we're building it, we need to submit another JOT form, and it's a pain. You got to copy and paste whatever you're doing, whatever the data is. So I these days start with set multiple variables, and if you've done any sort of coding, and even if you haven't, the basics is you're setting a few things that are going to be used throughout the rest of this automation. Okay, and so we've got our module here, and when I click on it, it'll look like a blank one to you, like this. All you do is add an item, a variable name, and the variable value. And so in this first version, I've filled this out already. We've got our writing tone, and I just for a test joke here, I have a romantic pirate. Blog writing instructions, again, very simple. Write an intro summary along with key takeaways as bullet points and a thought-provoking question to leave the reader with. And then these are the social media writing instructions. I'm going to say don't provide any title or context, and that's, I put that in there just for massaging it. Sometimes AI wants to add more stuff. So just respond, I misspelled that, just respond with a list of the following for social media. 5 quotes from the provided article. And then the URL of the article, because I might want to include that in my blog post. And then this is the copy and pasted article. So what this is actually was from today's or yesterday's blog post on Razor. I do one of these every day. Our automated marketing is really kind of wild. I've trained this a lot. It's very hard to tell that this is actually AI. First of all, this part is my own personal edition. That's part of my form. And then there's this very customized tone and structure in which I talk about the summary, the benefits of the technology, concerns, possible business use cases, and a thought-provoking question. And then I even provide a little signature at the bottom, and you'll see I'll start to show you how I do that. But it all starts with an article. I read articles every day, and I post one a day. And what's really cool about this is it posts to all the platforms. Actually, I'll show you more about how I do that. But literally, all I do is I do an auto post. I have a form that looks like this. And I just enter the URL, my post, the article. If I want it to create AI images, this is advanced, but then it can go to any platform, including, which is really fun, just to show you how this works, what's possible with this is on my auto poster here, you can see once you enter that, you saw the blog, but it will also create a LinkedIn post, and it'll schedule it. It'll look like that, slightly different. And then, of course, Twitter, different still. And then this is what, well, Twitter is taking a long time to load. There it goes. Twitter will be a short little version, and that's got an actual image from the link it pulled from. And then finally, the YouTube video which is like this. And in fact, I think for you to hear, I have to just share my audio. So I'll do that really quickly. And this all happens automatically from that one form I post. So we're doing a basic version of this, but this is what's possible. It can end with this. Imagine a world where artificial intelligence doesn't just listen, but remembers everything you've ever said. That's the vision Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman shared recently. All right, so you see how powerful this tool can get. This is all from
Wow.
make.com. And this was a combination of HeyGen, AI imagery, a template tool. It's kind of like a Canva for engineers template that we made, and that all gets posted automatically. And since doing this, some of our views have 10x'd, 20x'd what they got without my AI version of myself. So it's a really fun experiment. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit more. We've set our variables for testing, and so right now they're all just manually inputted in there. And you'll all get the video for this, so even if you're not following along, if you're just paying attention, you'll be able to watch this and then go step by step. Okay, great. So the next thing that we do is actually, and it'll look like this, we've done, say we'll just do test, and we'll go just test like this. You'll have your first module there. Well, then it'll have this nice little plus button, and you can just click on the plus button, and this starts to add your next module in the chain. And the next one we're going to do is OpenAI. All right, and so OpenAI, this is what it looks like. You'll go in here. You think it might be create a messaging assistant, but it's create a completion. That confuses a lot of people. That's kind of the technical term. But all it is you'll need to add this is different than the subscription. This is actually, you get credits by, it actually ends up being a lot less than a subscription. For all our automations, I think we pay like $17 a month versus $20 a month for just the front end version, which is powerful in its own right. But we do a lot of this stuff on the back end. So this is the most complex part of the tutorial probably, and that is you'll need to connect your OpenAI account by getting an API key and an organization ID. And so where do you find that? Well, it's not immediately obvious. So I'm going to show you. Go to openai.com, products, API login, and hopefully I'm logged in already. Great. And then it's always a little bit of a mystery to find where it is, but I believe what you do is you go into the gear, you have your organization ID here, you'd copy that into organization ID, and then you would take the, I believe it is in API keys, and you create a new secret key. And that's it. And then when you do that, name it make.com or something like that, and then it will give you this secret key that is what you put into the API key, and then you're off to the races. And as long as you have, what you'll need to do, by the way, is go into here and into billing and make sure that you've got a little bit of credit. I think you can just add $5. You can choose to automatically do it if you're using this a lot, but $5 will go a long way. You can use it for images as well, but we're going to just be doing text today. Okay, great. So you get the basic idea of how to add one of these. So the rest of these are going to be pretty clear. But here's what it looks like. Once you've connected, we're going to say create a chat completion. That's what it's going to be in there by default. Here's the model, and we're going to choose 01. This is too expensive. You don't need this. This is for very complex reasoning capabilities. All we need is the latest 4.0 model. So we click on that. And then look at this. This is where it starts to get exciting. All right, so first, and it'll look like this for you when you start off. It'll be like this, and you'll be just given some blank fields. And when you add a message, you need to decide between these. System is like you're training the AI. User is you're making a request for a response. Okay, so does that make sense? You'll see it when I go here. System, you're a blog writing professional who will be tasked with writing a blog post based on a provided article. You will write the article in the following tone and writing style. Okay, and if you remember, we have that variable. So the writing tone is a romantic pirate, just for simplicity for right now. Great, that's the first system, that's the first training. The second system message, here's the article to train on. Article, and so when you click in this box, it pulls up all of the info from previous modules. And right now it's just one module before this one. But as we go down the chain, we'll see subsequent modules, the outputs begin to appear here. All right, so here's the article, and so it will be the article. You just click that button and it pastes it there, which was taken from the following URL, and you click on the URL right there. And then now it's time to do the user. And this is write a blog post using the tone and article I previously trained you on, include a provocative title, and link the title to the provided URL. And I actually have that right there. So you might not even need this part. I don't even think that's necessary. Use the following structure in response and return it as HTML code. And what that's going to do is you don't have to do that, but that's going to mean when we export it to a Google document, it's going to look nicer. So that's a little just advanced thing. And then the blog writing instructions, which was, write the intro summary and the key takeaways and all that kind of stuff. So this is I'll show you why this is powerful, this method, in a little bit when we get into this second one. But that's all it is for this. This is the default amount of tokens. This is fine just to keep that as is. If you're doing crazy long stuff, you might want to limit it, but that's fine for now. We're not doing anything crazy long. Okay, so now we can press OK, and then it'll be time to do the next module. And so you'll basically have another little plus button here, and just like we had at the original, the one before. And so now, see, my Zoom window is constantly in the way here, but it's okay. Okay, so here you would do another one. In this one, look at what happens here. Now it's a little bit simpler. You're a social media expert who will be tasked with extracting quotes based on a provided article. You'll write the article in the following tone. This is not even necessary. You'll write this is not going to be an article. I'll just say you'll write in the following tone and writing style, and that's going to be the romantic pirate. Here's the article to train on, and remember that's the article. Using the tone and article I previously trained you on, use the following instructions to write your response and return it as HTML. And then we're choosing the social media writing instruction from here. Whereas if you remember, that was the do not provide any context, just respond with a list of, this is misspelled, just respond with a list of the following for social media, 5 quotes from the provided article. Okay, so that's that. And so here's the writing style, here's the article, and here is the instruction, and that becomes the user. So it was system, user. And that's all you need to know. Now the last one is almost the same as the one we just did, because we're going to just be using the same quotes. So again, you're a social media expert who will be tasked with extracting information based on the provided article. You'll write, and I'm just going to say in the following tone and writing style. Okay, now this one's slightly different because if you remember, this one is going to be based on the blog post, not on the provided article. So that gets us to be a little bit more advanced because we haven't provided that yet in this purple one. We didn't provide the blog post that AI is going to write. Well, guess what? Now we can see, and by the way, if these get really long, you can collapse and expand them. Sometimes if you have 100 modules, you want to be able to find things. You can also search here pretty easily, like blog. So that one didn't find write the blog for some reason. It doesn't look at the title, I guess. That's funny. I've never figured that out before. But anyways, in this case, it's pretty short. Now here's the advanced thing for this part, and it's not a big deal, but where is the AI response in these AI responses? Well, you'll go into the write blog, and then this will all be collapsed by default. Here it says result. That I think is a new addition because I think it used to be under here and then messages and then content. But it looks like it's the exact same thing because it shows you a little bit of the preview. So I'm just going to go with what I'm always used to, which is the content. But I think that will probably work. I bet people were complaining, like, where's the response? And that's why they put result here. But it always used to just be here. So either way, whichever works. So we're going to train on that blog post, and then we're going to do the same social media links, or the same quotes, sorry, for social media, but this time based off of the blog post instead of on the provided article. So we're going to base the next series of social media quotes on the AI blog post article instead of the article that we copy and pasted from the news. All right, and so what have we got? We've got this string of little AI prompts, and then the last thing we're going to do for this test is we're going to create a Google Doc. And so all that is I'll just show you from here. Say you were in the last chain of the AI here. All you would just do is this, and then you can search Google Docs. Here it is, create a new document. And this is where you have a few entries. So let's look at what we entered. All right, guys, this is going to be cool. So first off is the name of the Google Doc. And yes, you will need to, by the way, add your Google connection. It's really easy to do. You just do a sign in with Google. And then once you click a few times, you'll have your Google connection will be active and it will give you these options here. So the name, you don't want it just to be blog post because then all your blog posts are going to have the same exact name. So here's the advanced feature, and this is the opportunity to show you a little bit more of this left-hand panel. So when you click on this left-hand panel comes up. Again, that's all your previous modules, and actually you'll see if you highlight things, they actually slowly pulse, which is kind of nice, so you can make sure that you have the right module. Same with here. See that? Okay, so, but it's got these other things. This is like an AI thing that I haven't even played with too much yet. This is if you want to get into more kind of complicated functions, like if something's empty, use this. Or, you know, if something equals this, then do this, that kind of stuff. It's also got some monetary or some, numeric calculation things. It's got some text things that you can find and replace things like empty strings or new lines or carriage returns, that kind of stuff. You can capitalize, format, all that kind of stuff for text. And then the last one that's really important is this little calendar. And the one that's going to separate, there's two things here. Timestamp is a long string of digits, numeric digits, and that is the milliseconds or the seconds since January 1st, 1970. That's kind of like a international standard. And then now, which is just kind of an unformatted date. And you know, there are ways to format the date more nicely, but for now, at least this is going to differentiate each name of your Google Doc. So now, and then blog post. Cool. Content of the blog post is, look at this. This is right here. From here, I pulled out the result of the blog, and then I put quotes from the article. And because this is going to be HTML, if you know anything about HTML, there's just a few basic things that are helpful. This little H2 in triangular brackets means it's going to be a header, the second header. So the H1 is usually the title of the page, H2 is the next largest, H3, etc. And so we just want it to be readable. It's totally optional, but it's going to make it a little bit more legible. And then the quote from the article, and then you end it. And then look, then that's the result from the quotes from the article. And then here, quotes from the blog post. And again, it's an H2 heading. Last thing that you need to do, and this is just something good to learn, is that we'll have the Google Drive document location, and that's actually the folder in this case. So how do we do that? First of all, how do I even get back to my, for some reason oh, there it goes. Zoom is always trying to show you things. Okay, what was I doing? I was going to Drive. So in this folder, I have these, which I'm going to get into in a second and show you some ways to upgrade this automation. And then the outputs. So in this output folder, I'm just going to delete my little test that I did earlier. And this is the ID of that folder. And you got to make sure, sometimes there's a dash, so if you like double click, it doesn't select all of it. You need to get everything in there right to the end. And then there's another thing to be careful of when we're actually sourcing content from documents, but we'll get into that in a second. But let's go back to our automation. Go in here, and then you just paste in the folder ID right there, okay? All right, y'all. So if we have done our good job, we are ready to see what this looks like. So let's now, even if this is off, I'm going to save. Even if this is off, and this is like if you want to schedule things, and we'll get into that in a second, but by default, it's going to be off. But you can always run it manually once. Scenario is running. Let's see what that means. Okay, let's see. Doesn't look like it's running to me. Let's do a refresh and try it again. All right, cool. I think I had started it running and then closed my laptop before when I was testing this. So this is the cool part. it's starting to show us the automation in progress. And each one of these little bubbles shows the input and the output of that module. So we can take a look, and here was the input, and again, the inputs that I put in and the outputs that are going to be used throughout the automation. And here the input was all of those messages that I sent it, and the output is the result. It looks like that result really does work that way, but it's a big HTML thing. And each one of those has a result, remember? And then in this last one, we combined all the results into the content of the page. So let's take a look in our Google Drive folder. There we got it. And so this is not the prettiest title. So just for fun, I will show you what I use. I actually have a date format. Let's see if I can just pull it up. Date formats. I save these things whenever I do it because this is probably a fine one. Because once you work something out, it's nice to make a note of it. But in this case, then will actually look like something like this. And that is going to mean that the next time I would run that, the date is going to actually take the format of the date and do year, do month, and do day, and then blog post. We can put a little dash like that. And just for fun, I can show you, well, maybe we'll do it on the next test. So let's go back here and take a look at our blog post. By the way, that was a little advanced, so don't worry. So here's our title with our link. Here's our summary. Here's the few bullet point takeaways. It's all sounding like a pirate. Ahoy, fellow adventurers of science and ambition. Gather round, for I have a tale to share. And then here's this thought-provoking final question. And then the link, I guess, they included at the end. As we marvel at this modern-day alchemist carving his place in the annals of innovation, one can't help but ask, it's not the most romantic pirate I've ever heard. But again, we're going to get into massaging that prompt. You'll also see that there's a few little artifacts here that just seem to always show up. There's ways to do like replace functions, for example, in here. Like I could actually put a module that would strip, I don't know if I didn't do it, or no, that's a router. That's a totally different thing. So there we go. Add a module. I could do a text replace. It's actually text parser and replace. If I wanted to, I could put this in here and then I could search for these things and delete those things before they get added to the page. But I'm not going to do that because it's a little bit more, but just to show you what's possible. And then, but in the meantime, you could just come in here and just delete this and then, do your blog post. Okay, so look at this. Quotes from the article. So this was from the original article that we uploaded, and then quotes from the blog post. All right, so, these could be something that, you might want to use, but we're going to learn how to massage that more in a moment. So let's go back to our automation. Now let's talk about the shortcomings of what we've just created. Well, first of all, you don't want to always have to come into make.com to process a blog post, obviously, number one. Number two, you might want to constantly tweak your writing tone, and you might want to play around with your blog writing instructions or social media writing instructions. And obviously, you're not going to come in here every time to paste a URL in an article. That's just ridiculous. So that's a shortcoming of this way we've done this. And then also, you might even forget where you even put this thing. So it might be nice to get an email with the link. And so the next automation here is going to be the more advanced version. And so by the way, if you have multiple strings like this, if you're experimenting, for example, you can hold down Shift. You can copy that, you can paste it, you can move it over here, you can make a bunch of changes, you can add modules, and then if you want to test that one, you can move that, and then next time you run it, it will run that one. And so that's really useful to know as like thinking about this as a canvas to work out of. Okay, but we're going to now drag let's see, we are going to, yours will look like this. So what we're going to want to do is actually add a jot form link. Okay, what this is going to do is we're going to do a submission from a form that looks like this with your email address, the article URL, and the article. And that's going to be the trigger. So we'll have this, we're just waiting for responses from the jot form. Then it's going to, instead of having these variables in here, it's going to source the prompts from Google Documents itself. So guess what? You're not going to need to actually come in here to change your writing style or your blog instructions, which is really neat. And so you can literally, what you can do here is start with this adding a module. It would be a Jot form, and it would be watch for submissions, okay? And so when you do this, you're gonna need to create a hook. And the way that works is if you add it, you'll need, first of all, to create the Jot form. So I'll just walk you through that. It's really simple. But literally you come into Jot form, which is a simple form builder, and you create a form, and you literally can just go like this. Let's just edit this form. You can literally just drag things across. And so add an element, and all I have is email, short text for the article URL, and long text. You just can literally just drag those in there just like that. Okay. Once you're ready to use this form to submit your article, you can click on publish, and then you can open this in a new tab. All right. And what's neat about this, and this is a good opportunity to show you, is what you'll need to do is connect your Jot form first. And the way you do that is you create a hook, and when it does that, it's going to ask you for, I've got a few clients in here, so you'll need to create your own. And so in Jot form, you'll need, again, the API key. They make it a little simpler. You just go into Jot form, you click on your little guy here, settings, then you go down to API, and you'll just create a new key. Take that key, which I should really block out, but I don't use this for really anything, so it's not a big deal. But you shouldn't share your API key with anybody on recorded videos. Doesn't matter. But and that will help you then connect your Jot form. And then once you've connected it, it'll look like this. Not like that. It'll look like this. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll do it one more time here. You'll need to, because it sort of makes it invisible there. Watch for submissions. Do a hook. I'm going to say add a new hook. I'll say, temporary test. Okay, and then I'm going to say on my Jot form, and then I'm not going to even need to do this, create this, because I don't want to mess up my system. But when you do that, most likely your Jot form that you created will be in no team assigned, unless you've categorized it in some way in Jot form. And then there it is. You just choose your form. And when you create that, it will automatically do the rest. And what that means is it will look like this, and it will be ready to go as soon as that form is filled out. So how do we know it's working? Well, that's great. Why don't we do that next? Sometimes you want to test these modules one at a time. So in this case, I'm going to say run this module only. Okay? And let's see. Hold on. Oh, I think I need to drag that down there. Run this module only. And now it is waiting for a response. Okay, so now I can take my time, go over to the form that I created. I'll go and copy and paste the article. I'll get the link first, and I'll put my name in. And we might have to do this. And you'll see now why this is something you don't want to do. I'll just send it to my Gmail. Actually, I'll send it to Douglas at Razor. Let's see if that works. Sometimes I found that Google Workspace will block emails from automation tools, so it's something to test, but we'll just try it. We'll try it and see if we need to fix it. Okay, and then the other thing, we need the article. So let's come over here, and we'll copy and paste this whole article. Okay, and go back to our automation, which is still waiting. Sorry, we're going back to here. I'm going to paste that in. And look at this. When I press submit, go back to our automation, boom, it did it. It connected. So it now has the data we need to use. All right, so what about some of these other things? What am I doing here? Well, look at this. In my folder here, the other things that I have are 3 documents. If you remember, these were the things that we put in to this manually. Well, guess what? Now we're going to figure out how to put your prompts in Google Drive. Right here in the folder of my automation, I have my writing tone and style. And in this case, a romantic pirate. I think it's time to change the romantic pirate, okay? So what I could do here is a few things. You might know that you want to be, thought-provoking or whatever it is. You might need some help with this. So there's a few ways to do this. One could just be come to the free GPT store, put in here writing tone. And let's see if they have something. Writing style. Oh, tone of voice analyzer. That could be kind of cool. So put in here, let's start it. This is free to use. Add in samples of your writing and have the assistant analyze your writing tone and style linguistic patterns and give a detailed tone. Okay, so check this out. We got this link, which I can share with everybody afterwards. I'll put it in the documentation. But why don't I just take my existing writing here and analyze that just for sake of doing this. And then where did I do it? Here. And let's paste this in. And let's see what happens. Based on this text, here's the, and I'm just going to say, it's going to want me to provide 10 more pages. I'm going to say just work with what I gave you. You know, it's going to be better if you do more training, but just for sake of time, let's just have them do this. Okay, look at this. I would say optimism and empowerment, relatable, inclusive, tech-savvy, but approachable, analytical, yet human-focused, visionary, aspirational. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know. This is universal key paragraph. I mean, who knows? Maybe I should just take this entire thing. It seems like it did a really great job. I'm going to take that, and now I'm going to put that in my writing tone. So now you can see, wouldn't that be a pain in the butt to actually put into your automation? Yes, so we don't want to do that. And now we can come back to the automation. And what we did here was we said, I'll just show you on the side, we added a module and say Google Docs, and in this case, get contents of a document. All right, and so when you do that, it will make you use your Google connection, and then you need to find, you can do this by drop down, but it's a pain to find often your file. It looks like this, you know, like you got to go like, it takes a long time, and then you got to go like to this, and then you got to go to the next one. You know, if there's multiple, like, you know, here I have another folder. It might be 10 folders deep. So what I prefer to do is go in here, and in this case, you need to copy everything between the slashes. So between D and edit and not the slashes, you take that over your document, say, whoops, my drive is fine, by mapping, and then you just put the article name in there, and then guess what? We can test it. Run this module only, and let's see. The looks like it got it, but let's just double check. Text content, and there it is. Great. All right. So what else are we going to do? We're going to do our blog writing instructions. So, and then you're going to see how this all fits together. Blog writing instructions. Write an intro summary along with key takeaways as bullet points and a thought-provoking question to leave the reader with. I might want to add some additional prompting here. Might say like write a 500-word blog post, including a high-level summary, along with key takeaways as bullet points and a thought-provoking question to leave the reader with. Just for sake of doing this, let's just leave this as is. Again, I'm going to copy this and make sure you get the whole thing. That is not the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Now we can go back to make. I think I probably had that in there right already. We can run this module, make sure this is all running, and look, there it is. Our prompt, where is the text content? There it is. Okay. And then the last one we're going to do is some social media writing. We're going to say, don't provide any context or title. Just respond with a list of the following for social media. Five quotes from the provided article. So maybe we'll just leave that. You know what? I could also say like some, how about say 5 ideas for Instagram stories. You know what? I could also say four short tweets to promote this blog post. You know, whatever. That's just a few examples, right? Or I could maybe do brief. I'm going a little more advanced here, but why not? A brief outline for a YouTube video in which I present the topic. Okay, so there we got it. And I got my number here. Make sure I got everything right. And then we come over here and we click on it. Mapping and make sure it's there. It was right. Cool. We run it just to make sure. Again, always double checking. And look, there it is. So why do we do that? Well, guys, here's the thing. Now, anytime first of all, we don't need to come into the automation to trigger it. Second of all, we don't need to come into the automation to massage it. We might, want to look at these a little bit more, and maybe there's even ways to simplify this stuff. We'll see. But in this case, why this is here is it made it kind of easy to, if you remember here what it looked like was, everything was manual. Remember that? Well, what's cool is if you then do another one, all of these will still refer back to this module. So you won't have to worry about mapping any of these. You just change the content of this. That's why that's a powerful place to start, not just for testing, but when you're ready to do the full thing, you don't have to change that much. What do you have to change? Well, these things, writing tone. Here we go. Look at this. We got the writing tone. And here's the content, text content. You just click on it and it shows up there. Blog writing, text content, social media instructions, text content. And then here's the other thing that's slightly different. The URL is in the jot form, and it's a little bit more complex, but if you comb through it, you'll find the article URL, click on that, and then here is the copy and pasted article, which is right here. Okay, so that is now going to feed into the rest of the automation. And so remember what we did? We said, let's just make sure that this all sounds good, and then we're going to run this and see what happens. And who knows, it might have an error, but that's part of it. So now it says you're a blog. This is all the same actually as this, because remember, if we had not done this little variable thing, then we would have to change these in each one of these modules. But because we're just changing it once here, we can use that in these subsequent modules. So write the article. Here's the article to train on. Remember, use the following tone. We actually don't need that URL anymore, I don't believe. Here's the article to train on. Write a blog post using the tone and article I previously trained you on. Include a provocative title and link the title to the provided URL. Use the following structure in your response and return it as HTML code. And that's going to make sure it's pretty on the Google Doc. That's why we did that HTML code. And then here, just to review, so you're an expert social media who will be tasked with extracting quotes and other content based on a provided article. You will write the article in the following tone and writing style. Here is the article to train on. Use the tone and article I previously trained you on. Use the following structure in your response and return it as HTML code. So that's going to take the social media prompt that we worked so hard on, and then that was going to do the blog, and then this was going to do the social media post. And that's going to take it from, or I guess this takes the quotes from the article, and this takes the quotes from the blog post. And then we're just doing this quickly, but you can obviously see how you could really massage this. And this all looks good. We already looked at this. Okay, and so that's all looking pretty good. And so let's just go back here, and I think that I was checking the right ones. And we're ready to test this. All right, and so let's see what we've got. We just don't see any errors. By the way, if you did mess up something, it'll show little dots. Like, if I kind of deleted, let's see, just to show you on this, I don't want to mess it up, but if I deleted, I don't want to mess it up, but if you delete something accidentally, or I'll show you, this is an easy way to show you. If you disconnect this, you'll see now there's an error here because it's yellow because we've disconnected it. And it's looking for the earlier information, which now it finds again, so the yellow dot disappears. All right, great. So we've got our Google Doc. Oh, the one thing we wanted to do was change the little formatting, a little bit complex, but you can learn about how to do date formatting on your own time. That's instead of having it be really ugly, it's going to look a little nicer now. And I'm going to press OK. We got the document's location. All that's correct. And then the last module I'm going to add is an email module. And here it is right here. Click on, because I want it to send me an email. So send an email. And here's the thing about sending an email. You'll need to add something. Now, Google Workspace, super easy to add. Microsoft Outlook, super easy to add. Others are not as easy because they require, some of these might be a little bit easier, but they're all going to require usually and this is provided by your host, your SMTP login information. So that's why This is a little bit more advanced. If you have a Google Workspace or Outlook, it's super easy, one-click connections. But if you are using personal Gmail, it's a little bit, you got to look through a little research about how to do it. If you're using a custom email address, you're probably familiar with entering this kind of stuff in like Mac Mail or things like that, but you'll need to talk to your host to get the email, and that way your email login info, and that way make.com can send emails on your behalf. But once you have done it, let's do this. Let's click on emails to show you what it looks like. I then have my, my connection here, and I think I actually use, yeah, that's fine. I can use that, or I can use my automation one. Maybe that's a better one. Whatever it is you use. I'm going to send it to hello@razor.co. I'm going to say, here's today's blog post, and then I'm going to choose HTML, email, and it really doesn't matter actually because we're not including all the info in here. If we wanted to, we could come back to this Google Doc if we wanted to. We could copy this whole thing. We could come in here, and this should work. I'll just here's the response, and I'm just pasting that right in there. See how fun and easy this is to do? And so then it'll give me the link to the document, but it'll also give me the thing in the article. So we can press OK now. And now, everybody, it's time to run this thing. So we drag our little starting point here, and we now press save. What we need to do is turn it on so it is immediately ready to start receiving. And if you don't do that, Jotform's not going to know. So we got to do that. So let's come over here, and we'll go back to Jotform. Oh, awesome. It saved all my information just by going back. So that's quicker. And so let's press submit. Let's see what happens. And hopefully there's no errors, but you never know. So first of all, let's see. It sometimes takes a second to start. So hopefully that's why there it goes. And look, it got the prompts, and it's starting to process the AI already. Water break. Wow, it's talking a lot. I know this has been a lot, everybody, but at least this is showing you some basics and hopefully giving you some ideas of what's possible. Some of the most important aspects of this is, one, obviously knowing how to use the AI. We talked about why the variables is helpful just when you're getting started. The AI modules obviously are a little complex to set up, but you get it. And the benefit, obviously you need a trigger because you don't want to go into the automation. That's what we did with Jotform. And then it's really nice to have your prompts sourced externally, so you don't need to come in here in these tiny boxes and change things. You just change, otherwise you're going to be typing in those tiny boxes in make.com, whereas this way it just does its thing. So everyone, let's take a look. First of all, did I get an email? Let's take a look. Let's go to my Gmail. Or I guess I think I have it open here. Here's today's blog post. Okay, so here's the link to it. Again, you could pretty this up, but it's looking pretty good, guys. Let's take a look at it in Google Docs. And of course, you can come through here and clean it up. This probably needs some little,
Dougie,
Yeah.
we're not seeing any output. We're still seeing the make.com.
Oh, I see. I only shared that tab. Okay, so perfect. Let me show you what it looked like. Thanks for saying that, Blair. Sometimes I get 5 minutes in and people are like, are you meant to be showing something? And I'm like, oh God, I ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
Great. So here's the email that I got. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Great. And so here's the thing, but let's also look at the Google Doc and let's see what happened. Title, correctly linking to the article. Great. Some things that maybe need cleaned up in terms of giving it some space. Look at how already it's sounding a lot better, But again, that's the tone of voice that you can continue to train that on. Now that you see, you can come back into your tone and be like, you know what? It keeps using these words. Let me massage this tone and writing style. Okay. Let's keep looking at what we got. If I can find it again, here we go. Key takeaways. A question to ponder, leaving, and you could just remove this stuff, and this could also help you. You could say gosh, that really isn't a long enough question, and now all you need to do is go back into your blog writing post, and say a thought-provoking question in a few sentences, and so sentences, and so the next time this is processed, you'll have a longer thought-provoking question. So that's just an example of how you could quickly, as soon as you run the next one, you just change that little bit in the Google document, the output will be changed. Again, these are kind of ugly. I'm sorry I didn't get into that, but just for sake of time, it's not a big deal just to delete them. Look at this, 5 quotes from the article, 4 ideas for Instagram stories, 4 short tweets to prompt this blog post, brief outline for a YouTube video. And then those are the quotes from the actual article. And now it does the exact same from the actual blog post. So what an incredible amount of work this just saved us, and direction it gave us to both write this and then start to promote it. So now one thing that's interesting to know is we can start to see how effective this training of this tone was by using something like Detectable, or it's called Detectable.ai. You can take this and paste something in here and check for AI, and maybe with all that sort of tone training that ChatGPT helped us with, this is going to be pretty good marks. ChatGPT is getting a lot better. I mean, look at that. That got great marks across the board. Whereas if you just do a standard ChatGPT blog post, it may well trigger. And for things like Google, they're definitely sort of deprioritizing AI written content. So the ability to really highly train your tone in this kind of a way not only makes it more readable, makes it less artificial, it's also good for your SEO if you're publishing this online. And so that's that. So you guys, this was a big, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here and get back into the room. I know that was a lot. I'm happy to stick around for questions. You all are gonna get the video, but I want you to start thinking, this is the homework. Now that you understand what's possible with Make.com, now with Make.com, you can also, as you get more advanced, you can do branches. You can do conditional statements. Like if something in that form was checked, go down this branch. If there was a drop down, go down this branch. So you can create filters, things like that. So there's an amazing amount of resources online where you can begin to take this basic, and guess what else you could do? You could very easily either just create an image in ChatGPT, free version, you have 3 images or 2 images before your plan runs out. But also, it's very easy. Actually, the previous workshop last month was very similar to this, except how to make AI imagery. So I'll send that link out as well to everybody. So in case you want to do a blog and then create a custom imagery, and then you don't even have to pay the $20 a month because it uses the API on the back end. And it takes, my workshop on how to do the AI imagery is pretty advanced, and it takes 40 minutes, and then you don't even have to pay the $20 a month for unlimited images. That costs a couple of cents or whatever it costs. Anyway, the homework to you all now is to really start looking at your workflows in linear steps. And this doesn't have to start in Make.com. You start on a Miro board or even on a whiteboard. You can start to map out, if this happens, then do this. This is the trigger. These are the actions. This is what I want the output to be. Then you can go and look at Make.com and see, are the tools that I use or want to use, are they built in? And then you can just start to play, and so now you'll start to see the power that you can get with this tool, especially when you start to combine multiple of these scenarios. So I am always really happy to talk about this. I'm also happy to stick around for a little bit for any Q&A. But in the meantime, I'm so happy to see that most of you are still here, because I know that was that was a lot, but that's also why I'm recording it, so you can check back in. So Q&A, Blair, you're first up.
Yeah, Doug, just for the aspirational nature of us, would you mind sharing what your Make.com or whatever automation looks like for you to produce your daily newsletter?
Yeah. Okay, so the 2 that I actually could show you is, all right, so I'll show you the newsletter, because you guys are all going to be getting that now, and so it's really fun to know how it's made. Okay, so first of all, it is, and I've worked on this for months, because this is also our lead magnet that we do for people. So this is still a pretty linear process.
Wow.
Yeah, this is still, but what it does is it scans my emails, specific label that I created automatically using a filter. It extracts the news, it combines them, it looks at previous day's news to make sure it doesn't have duplicates. It combines and makes short little summaries and all this kind of stuff. It goes down, cleans it up for audio, it sends it to 11 Labs, it clones my voice, it gets a podcast, or it creates a podcast, which is a huge undertaking to figure that out. It then publishes the podcast to all the platforms. And then here is it posts it to my WordPress blog as the day's kind of news. And then it also creates the email. And so then what that looks like is, let's just go to my Gmail here, and we'll go the Razor report. So this is what it looks like, an entirely HTML created email, as well as, and here are all the news articles from the day that I highlight, and this is all automatically using my tone created. It pulls out the tools that were mentioned in the newsletters, it pulls out jobs, and then it also links to the podcast, which let's take a look at how it sounds today. Good morning, it's Douglas from Razor bringing you the latest AI news for today, Thursday, December 5th, 2024. All right, and so then it just reads the news. It sits there and it, like, people listen to that thing. I mean, it's not them going to win any awards, but it's really still pretty powerful to just build leads. And so that's an example of one that's just very linear. And then, just to show you how complex this can get in terms of branches, this one's really cool too. This is the one where with my auto poster, it takes the few little things that, and each one of these branches is how it creates AI images, and then it resubmits, and then it kind of comes down here, and then this is an Instagram branch, this is a WordPress, this is a Facebook, Twitter. And this is to show you, just to give you some aspirational stuff because Blair asked for it. This is where these little checkboxes are the filters that are on these branches that look like this. If the platform posting contains Instagram, then it goes down that branch. And if it doesn't, like platform posting, this one's video short, so it wouldn't have gone down that branch. It would just go down the one that's called video short, which is, I think, this one. Video short, right? And so that's where actually, you can start. And also, I have other tests on here that I disconnect, and things like that. So this is almost all actually active. This one was crazy. This is the whole HeyGen creation of the avatar, and then the creating of it in kind of an engineer's version of Canva. So it's incredible. That's incredibly powerful. That has, we've been working on that automation for 5 months. You know what I mean? So there's also,
Gotcha.
Once you get into really advanced use of AI, like sometimes Claude or ChatGPT is having a bad day, and that will break your whole thing. Now, there's ways to save it as incomplete, but I'm doing my day. I'm working on my actual work. I don't have time to fix my newsletter often in case ChatGPT was down. And so there's ways to use tools that have like backups. So if OpenAI is broken, use Claude or things like that. And so those kinds of features are when you're really doing robust, like for what we showed today, not a big deal. But if you're doing like some robust tool for a business that you don't want it to break and you're like away from the computer, having those sorts of advanced features are really nice,
Gotcha. And just a quick follow-up, Doug, for your newsletter, which we've seen about how many pieces of content, segments rather, there are. Can you just tell us how much manual work is required on a daily basis for you to create that output that we get it in our inbox?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the main piece of output right now is trying to figure out the text size. That's why iPhone shows it incredibly small. It's driving me crazy. But so if you're on an iPhone checking my newsletter, I apologize. Blair brought it to my attention. I'm trying to fix it right now. But like, especially now that I implemented that AI fallback system, it scans, and it doesn't have to scan newsletters. It could scan RSS feeds. Like, we do this for industries. This can be any industry. So, for healthcare, or we just did it for a project management company, and they just put in their sources of news that they want to focus on. It could be real estate, anything. And then it scans those sources. It does all what I showed you. It takes away duplicates. It combines things. It makes it pretty. It makes that whole HTML email. It then sends me a text message being like, hey, your newsletter is ready for the day. Go check it out. And actually, I found the podcast publishing so reliable. I just completely automate that. And so I just look at the newsletter. Rarely do I have to make any changes. Because it also, by the way this works, because I come from a digital marketing background, the content creation flow is that the newsletter also includes the blog post automatically to my WordPress from yesterday that it puts in there automatically. And so here's the cool part. generally I don't have to change anything. I just click send. I'm working on the text size thing with you, so I am just trying to figure that out. But generally it's just a check it and send it. It's just a nice human check along the way. But then, okay, great. I get the email too. I look through there. Often I choose a link from my own newsletter to turn into my auto poster, which goes to all the platforms, which then gets added to also the next day's newsletter as the kind of key article at the top. And the process begins again. That would have been dozens of hours a week of work. It's now a pleasurable 10 or 15 minutes a day where I read something in a little more detail. I think about it, I write something, and then it processes all the things, and the next day it starts again. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the kind of power. And by the way, I am super open. If anybody has business applications, we could hop on consulting call. We can talk about things. I have two other courses that I'll include that I did previously. One was AI imagery, and one was a really cool, simple meeting summarizer, because we have some really advanced meeting summarization and even dynamic PDF creation tools. Like if you've ever been on an exploration call with me, you'll wonder how I deliver a full-on report and a slide deck to you within 10 minutes after the call, customized for you. Well, it's because on exploration calls, we're not getting paid, right? I'm sure if anyone's done those before. The last thing you want to do is spend a whole bunch of time afterwards doing more free work. So all I do is I do my 20-minute exploration call where I ask a series of 10 questions. I take the transcript from whatever tool. I use Fathom, but you can use whatever tool you want. And then I upload the transcript to my meeting processor form. I click, this was an exploration call. This, Blair was the client. Blair's company is such and such. And if he has already, if I've already interacted with him as a client, he'll have a Google form or a Google folder I can put in there. And if not, it will create a whole folder structure for him. It goes off. I'll show you just because this blew my mind. I did this today, and I did this with 10 minutes before I had to go on to another meeting. But I'll show you on Gmail on my Douglas here. So I just sent this to a client earlier, and it looked like this. Not that one. This. And literally this whole email was dropped in my draft folder 5 or 10 minutes after I uploaded the transcript. Hey, Natalie and David, great to meet you. Some great ways that we could help. Here's what we created based on your call. Look at this. It's a very fancy version of basically a very customized meeting summarizer. This is integrating with Notion for a prompt chain, but this analyzed a very customized way our entire meeting. So this is different than just using Otter and being like, give me a summary. This is like highly customized follow-up sales report, automatically created. And then this is the sales deck. And this is, again, all dynamically created, everybody. This image, logo, this background, all dynamically added, primary, secondary goals, automation potential, and then our regular slide deck behind it for sales. And then also the email puts in about 8 different products, and then I just delete the ones that aren't relevant. And then all I do is just double check those quick things, make sure it didn't mess anything up, press send, and look, Natalie's already gotten back to me, no doubt saying that she wants to work with me. We had that meeting this morning. If I had actually had to do this, I would be already bottlenecked, and I wouldn't have got back to Natalie, and Natalie wouldn't have got back to me yet. So point being that like what you can do with this is incredibly advanced, but even just very simply to create a custom meeting summarizer, it's not quite as pretty as the one I just showed you, but I also have a free workshop on that, which I'm happy to share with everybody today. Well, this has been so fun. I'm happy. Does anyone have any other final questions? Otherwise, we can pick up at another time. I'm going to be doing these workshops, continue doing these monthly. So I had a cool idea for the next one. But maybe we could even do like the RSS news feed for the next one, that like you put in some RSS feeds and then you get a summary of the day's news for your industry, or something like that. But in particular, any email that you get from Razor or me, just respond if you've got a cool idea for what you'd like to do. We did the meeting summarizer, the AI imagery. We've done now the today's and so we can absolutely come up with other cool ideas. I love showing these and showing like what's possible, the tip of the iceberg with make.com. There's also incredible documentation on YouTube for all of this. And obviously, if you or businesses that would like to streamline processes, the way we work is we hop into calls with them and we map out their workflows, just like we did today with the automation. We'll map things out and we'll figure out what's before we even get into Make. We generally work in a sort of Miro board. We kind of bring their challenges to the top. We're working with a client metaverse company right now that spends about $24,000 of human labor time every month on sales reports. We're doing their automation, just like I showed you with the meeting summarizer and slide deck creator. We're gonna bring that down by $8,000 easily. That was like, hey guys, we're gonna cut this by a third. I'm saying a third to them because I really want to blow their minds with 2/3. But I'm gonna, they were already like, wow, you're gonna save us $8,000 a month? Like, yes, please. But I'm probably gonna save them, closer to 16. So yeah, if anybody has ideas, whether it's stuff that I already talked about or things that you think, because we also love working with domain experts. One of our clients is the Project Management Institute of America. I'm not officially a project manager. I do a lot of basics. But with them, we then talk with their domain experts and we design curriculum and workflows for them. So like, for example, if you're someone in the real estate space, you see a potential for an automation and if you could fix it and do it for yourself, then you could sell it like hotcakes because everybody in your field would want it. I would be so psyched to partner on that. And like, let's build something cool together and then let's figure out how to sell it to really benefit people's lives, because that's what I'm trying to do with all these automations is like, we should take the robotic stuff out of our day to day so we can get back to the real human ingenuity, to the real high touch stuff that AI can't yet replace. So that's really my mission, and I'm so happy to continue to talk about that at any time. So just shoot me an email. Thanks so much for attending. If you do have ideas for future workshops or things you'd like me to create videos for, feel free to email me. And again, thanks so much for joining, everybody.